sunshine, I gotta love and I know that it's all mine.
My name is Ken Kaneki, and do I have white hair because of my immense trauma? Or am I simply just fabulous? And this is...
Ting, 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 ting,
That was believable, right? I was finally finishing Hunter x Hunter, and I was in the midst of the Chimera Ant arc. Fantastic arc, but I could really do with speeding up a little bit. And I noticed a recurring trope that seems to come up quite a lot in anime. Nove, who is a pro hunter, was recruited to help deal with the ants. He went through some major trauma during one of the missions, and after that, there was a major change in his appearance. 1 second, my guy, absolutely looking normal. I mean, he's crying and in a ball of pure sadness, but the next time we see him, he's got hair, white as the snow. And I was thinking, why? Why do we often see characters' hair turn white in anime after they've gone through some sort of trauma? So here's this video. Let's find out if hair can actually turn white, if there is any medical or historical evidence to prove that this is possible. Or is it just spicy storytelling? Shall we? To begin to explain this condition, we must first travel back in time to 1793 France. A time of celebration due to the fall of the state prison Bastille and merciless executions of the monarchy. Oh, how we do love a good revolution. There was a woman who declared, "Let them eat cake."
Let them eat cake.
Her name was Marie Antoinette, and she is who gives name to the condition we'll be looking at today. Marie Antoinette Syndrome. Marie Antoinette Syndrome designates the condition in which the hair of the scalp suddenly turns white. The reason that the condition has this name is because apparently the night before Marie Antoinette's execution, her hair turned completely white. And Marie Antoinette was only 38 when she died. And I know it's not impossible for people's hair to go grey at a younger age, but all at once, bit of a stretch. Historical records also show that the English martyr Sir Thomas More also had his hair turned white in the Tower of London the night before his execution. I'm starting to see a pattern here. However, the question remains, is this medically possible, or is it just spicy storytelling? So let me talk about something we actually know. Anime. And how it's shown. So this is a warning. There will be spoilers ahead. Let's start with the one that inspired this video. No from Hunter x Hunter. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Surely she means Kaneki. No, not Kaneki. He will be in the video, but he's coming later. Surprisingly, when I watched Tokyo Ghoul, it didn't actually bother me all that much. But this does! Nove is a pro hunter. He is one of the top dogs in the Hunters Agency with an incredible Nen ability. And he's been on many a mission where he has faced terrible beasties, monsters and villains with incredible Nen abilities. But clearly this mission was one too many for Nove. In the Chimera Ant arc, we see Nove in all of his portal glory. He's given a mission to set up portals within the palace, where the king resides. Nove was already panicking when he entered East Gorto and the palace of the king. He had extra pressure to get the job done on the exact time because Pito's End was not currently surveying the area as it usually would be. However, after nearly getting caught by one of the soldier ants and having Poof's aura flood the staircase, he was absolutely terrified. He had never felt aura like it in his entire career as a hunter. He placed his final portal by the palace staircase and got the hell out of there. He weren't sticking around, trust me. It wasn't until that he was outside and at far enough range that the terror that he had experienced truly overcame him. Over the following episodes, we see how much that trauma has taken an effect on him. You can see it mentally and physically. His hair turns white, his skin is pale, he has bags under his eyes, and he looks defeated. And you can tell that through his personality as well. Next we'll be looking at Kaide from Kakegurui. I know the pronunciation's off, alright? I used to think it was called Kakegurui. Cut me some slack. I'm trying. Kaide is a member of the school council. And as we are aware, every member of the school council will play Yumiko in some sort of game. And Kaide is no exception. I'm not going to go into the details about how he got there and what happened and what the game was, because we could be here for a long time. He has quite a hefty backstory. You wouldn't expect it, but he does. But I will go into detail about how traumatic this was for my boy and how his transformation went about. After a lot of faffing about, the vice president approaches and tells them that they will be playing choice poker. During this game, both players are pushed to the edge, betting anything and everything that they have. Kaide is pushed so far that he bets his own life, thus winning the choice. Is it really worth it? Is your life worth it? Really? For a card game? He chooses strongest and he reveals his hand, 3 of a kind with 8s. Despite his confidence, Yumiko reveals her hand. She is a 3 of a kind but with jacks, once again showing her madness in gambling. Kaide is distraught by this. This revelation was far too much for him. He thought he had calculated it perfectly. During Kaide's devastation, the president seals his fate by uttering the words, "You're fired." The next thing we see is him being pulled away on a stretcher, so you can see how well he took that. On a side note, if you haven't seen Kakegurui, you need to watch it for this moment, because when he is distraught and everyone's firing off at him, his glasses start smashing, and it's literally like the breakdown of that trope of a glasses character in anime. It's fantastic. Just watch that bit if you don't want to watch the whole thing. The next time we see Kaide after this event, he is in hospital, unconscious, and he has white hair. Next up, we have Shion from number 6. Now, I know a lot of you probably haven't seen this anime, and if you haven't, go and watch it. It's like 7 episodes, and it's really good. And it's very relative to the pandemic world we currently live in. Shion is a simple boy. His mother owned a bakery, and he just worked in the city. That was until he was arrested for suspected murder. In the manga. In the anime, he was arrested for doubting the system. He was about to be taken to a correctional facility until Nezumi rescued him and forced him out of the city. Not too long after arriving in Nezumi's home, Shion started developing signs of being infected by the parasitic wasp that had been plaguing number 6. He managed to survive because Nezumi, the hero of my heart, was able to extract the parasite from his neck just in the nick of time. The infection did, however, leave him permanently scarred and had superficial changes to his body. The white hair that we see. Now we reach possibly the most iconic hair transformation in all of anime. You know him, you love him, the half ghoul, the emotionally unstable Ken Kaneki! I was going to add in sound effects, but I felt like I'd do it myself. Now, Kaneki goes through a lot of trauma during the show. The poor boy just wanted a dinner date with a sexy glasses-wearing bookworm, and he ended up being dinner. As luck would have it, Rize was crushed to death by falling pipes. I mean, Kaneki was seriously injured in the process, but you gotta take your wins where you can get them, am I right? However, our protagonist was not out of the running just yet. The medical staff, in all of their genius, decided to take the organs from Rize and put them in Kaneki, turning him into the one-eyed ghoul. And as you can imagine, Kaneki was thrilled by this news. In all seriousness, the poor boy was traumatized, and he had no idea how he was supposed to live with this new lifestyle he was now stuck with. Luckily, he made friends with some like-minded ghouls, got a mask, got a job at a coffee shop, and maybe potentially got a love interest. Ooh! Just as things started to look up for Kaneki, the literal embodiment of insanity, Jason, showed up and kidnapped him. Jason, being the cute little sadist he is, decided to torture Kaneki. And by torture, I mean torture. This was probably one of the most horrific torture scenes I've seen in anime ever. Ever. Now this is quite a gruesome watch. so I have my editor play some happy music over the top of it. Enjoy!
Got a pocket full of sunshine. I got a love and I know that it's all mine.
As he was being tortured and watched his friends die, he had an internal moment of awakening with the help of Rize, where he finally accepted the part of him that was a ghoul.
僕はグールだ
After all the trauma that he had experienced, accepting himself as a ghoul, looking back on his traumatizing past and the torture that he had experienced, his hair turned white, just before Jason was about to finish him. This isn't relevant to the subject at hand, but after that, Kaneki did give Jason the ass whooping of his life, and I know we were all sat at home like... It's important to note though that in the manga, Kaneki's hair doesn't turn white all at once. It happens over a series of panels where his hair makes a gradual change, which would make it line up more to the medical justification we'll be getting to very soon. Unlike other animes, we do get a bit of context as to why Kaneki's hair turned white. The current official consensus lies in Kakegurui. Tokyo is seen asking Kaneki why his hair constantly changes. Kaneki said that the CCG believed that it was because of his sudden change in RC levels. His spike in RC levels probably affected his melanin, which took him from basic to sickening in 0.2 seconds flat. Now let's answer the question. Is it actually possible for our hair to turn white? Well, obviously it can turn white. We've seen many people in their elderly age get white grey hair. But I'm talking about specifically the Marie Antoinette Syndrome. How much realistic attributes does it have to the medical world? Let's look at the facts. Fact check with Buckwheat. Looking back in history to the first report of this syndrome, we go to the Second World War. Medical professionals of that time had reported that the survivors of bomb attacks had had an apparent hair transformation to a white-grey colour in a substantially short amount of time. In 1957, an American dermatologist had witnessed a 63-year-old man's hair turn white after he had fallen down some stairs. The patient noticed loss of hair, but had no bald patches, and then 17 months later, he had extensive vitiligo. Referring to modern medical practice, the syndrome is interpreted as an acute episode of diffuse alopecia areata, in which this very sudden overnight greying is caused by the loss of pigmentation in this supposedly immune-mediated disorder. This observation has led some experts to hypothesize that the autoimmune target in alopecia may be related to the melanin pigment system. But even still to the medical world, this syndrome remains a mystery, and dermatologists are still trying to find a direct cause. Even though Marie Antoinette Syndrome does have some evidence to prove its authenticity, there are still elements that are elevated to help tell a good story. And we can see this in the animes that we watch. Now we come to the big question. Why do we often see Marie Antoinette Syndrome used in anime? And why does it pop up so often that I have to make a video about it? It would appear that no mangaka has explicitly said that their character's hair turning white is due to Marie Antoinette Syndrome. Even though it has not been confirmed that this syndrome is the inspiration for those character transformations, we can assume due to the comparisons that we've seen today. All of these characters have been through some sort of trauma or traumatic event, and then swiftly afterwards, a variation in time, but afterwards their hair has turned white, similarly to Marie Antoinette. As a writer or a mangaka, it is a good way of expressing a character's trauma. So not only does the character's personality change, they physically change as well, so us as the viewer can associate that change with their physical appearance. When you get down to it in black and white terms, this is a visual representation of a character and the progression they're going through. It is character development in its most basic form. And we love it. We love it. Who doesn't love a bit of dramatics in their anime? I do. That's it for the theory video, guys. Leave a comment below with your own theories, your own concepts, and your own ideas. I love to read them. It's always so much fun. Remember to like and subscribe. I recently went up in loads of subscribers. Thanks to everyone who watched my Shonen Girls video that I posted 7 months ago. I know I've been a bit dead on here. Forgive me. But thank you so much for subscribing if you're new here. This is so exciting, and I'm so very, very excited for the journey that we will go on together. On this beautiful weeby journey. I have been Buckwheat. You have been the... I have hit my spacebar. I have been Buckwheat. You have been the other person on the other side of the screen. And this has been the most enlightening, the most enriching, the most knowledgeable and philosophical video you have seen in years. And I'll see you in the next one. You know what? I hope everyone appreciates the new setup. This here, oh, I didn't put the light box on. After all of that faffing about with the lead.